Good morning, dear students. Once again, I am here to take your class about Malala Yousafzai on the topic Living the Valley. Today, I am going to teach you the fourth paragraph of the second page. Please listen it carefully and pay attention. On 5th May 2009, we became IDPs, Internationally Displaced Persons. The full form of IDPs is Internationally Displaced Persons. It sounded like a disease. At that moment, when they were bound, they were compelled to leave their place and go away from there. Because of that, they felt very uneasy. They felt they were not liking to leave this place and go away, but still they had to go. The reason you know it very well, because at that time the Talibanis, they were very active in the valley, so they were showing their full supremacy, their power towards to the people, and the people were very much dominated by them. Because of that, for the safety purpose, for the security purpose, the people were taking such steps in order to save their life, their family's life. They had to take shelter to the other safety regions. That is why Malala also, along with her family, with her neighbors, had decided to leave this place and go to some other safety region for their family's sake. So in this, you see children, on 5th May 2009, they became IDPs, isn't it? Internationally Displaced Persons, which were not very much very enjoyable for them, likable for them. That is why she better likes to refer it like a disease, isn't it? So, my mother, father, grandmother, my cousin's wife, and baby, and my brothers were all squashed into the back of Dr. Afzal's van along with his wife and children. So, as you know it very well, in my last class, I had explained you how Malala, she was offered by Dr. Afzal to come and board on his van so that they could travel along in a very safe manner. Dr. Afzal had welcomed her as well as her entire family to have a travel with their family themselves, isn't it? So that is why you see children here now today, the brothers, she had her brothers, her mother, her father, grandmother, cousin's wife, baby, and brothers, all they were together. They were now already squashed inside, they were packed inside. Whose van? Dr. Afzal's van. In that van, not only they but also Dr. Afzal's wife along with her, with their children, they were also traveling. So in this way, all the family members of Malala as well as the family members of Dr. Afzal, all together, they were now very nicely accommodated in that particular van of Dr. Afzal so that they could proceed ahead in their journey now. They were ready to go off in their journey, children. There were children in the laps of adults and smaller children in their laps. The smaller children were sitting over the lap of the adults, and more children were sitting over their laps. In this way, you can understand that the van was really packed inside. I was luckier. There were fewer people in Safina's car, but I was devastated by the loss of my school bag. I hope you remember one more family, Safina's family. They were also leaving this place and going towards to the same place where they wanted to shift. Malala's family wanted to shift, isn't it? So in Safina's family also were moving towards far away with them. So in this situation, Malala finds herself quite to be luckier enough. Why? Because she had taken the lift into whose car? Safina's car, where there were sufficient space was available to sit and accommodate. But what she was really missing and feeling unhappy for, that she had left her school bag. That isn't it? She could not carry her school bag. For that, she was a little bit upset. So this is what we come to learn here and understand in these paragraphs of the chapter, children. Now, I move on to the next paragraph. Safina's father put his foot on the pedal and away we drove out of the small world of our street. In this way, when all of them, all the family members, neighborhood members, everybody were now found inside the van, now finally Safina's father decides to go ahead. Isn't it? That is why he puts his foot into the pedal and now he starts to drive his van, and they leave this place, they leave this small world of their street. Now they want to advance ahead towards to a new place, a new destination, and it was very far away from their home and from their school, and the place which they were now at the moment going ahead was very much unknown place for them, a new place, a completely new place for them, children. We did not know if we would ever see our town again. It was not quite sure. It was not quite very much sure and certain that whether they would be able to come back in this same place, their familiar place where they used to stay. They were very much used to with the surroundings, school, friends, neighborhood, everything was familiar here, isn't it? So they were now at this moment when they were leaving this place and going away, they were not quite sure and certain about it that whether they would be able to come back once again in this place or not. This was the situation with Malala's family as well as the neighborhood's family, children. The street were jam-packed. I had never seen them so busy before. When they drove in the car, they found, especially when the girl Malala peeps through the windows of the car, what does she notice? She notices that the streets at that moment were full of cars, people walking, isn't it? It was fully jam-packed that she could notice. I had never seen them so busy before. This type of busy, the street which was so much busy, this type of sight that she had never noticed or felt earlier in those days. There were cars everywhere as well as rickshaws, mule carts and trucks laden with people and their belongings. Different type of vehicles could be seen plowing over the road. There were cars, there were rickshaws, there were trucks which were laden. Laden means fully loaded with many people, crowds of people, and with the crowd there were also their belongings, their goods, everything was to be seen from inside the car, which Malala, the little girl Malala, was able to notice it. Thousands of people were living with just the clothes they had on their backs. Many people, thousands of people, they were leaving this place and going away from here. And what she could notice more, that they were just carrying the clothes which they had, they were just with the clothes which they had in their bags. This type of sight that she notices at the moment on the streets of this particular place from where they were living away. It felt as if the whole valley was on the move. What does it look like? She realizes as if the entire people living in that valley, they were leaving this valley and going towards to another safety place. This is what she could feel there at that moment, because thousands of people were at that time. Many vans, many vehicles were there on the road, isn't it? This is what it gave her that thought that maybe like us, the others are also leaving the valley and going. Few people knew where they were going, they just knew they had to leave. This was the bigger exodus in Pashtun's history. So she had never heard like this before, she had never found like this before. This was like a history being created here in that entire region, in that entire territory, into the life of the Pashtun people. She had never found such a situation, she had never known such a situation which it was occurring at the moment. This is what she feels and realizes, and becomes very unhappy and upset to find herself along with the other people in this type of very difficult situation, pitiful situation, and a very sorrowful situation, children. The road was heaving with traffic. Now Malala was able to notice through her car that bit by bit the road was getting more and more crowded. Heaving means getting more crowded. It was a long, slow journey, and we were all very sweaty, cramped. The journey was very long. They were having a very long journey at the moment, and because of being very much crowded inside that van, all of them were cramped. All of them were squeezed inside the car and feeling very uneasy and tired inside, remaining for a long time together. Usually, car journeys are an adventure for us children, as we rarely go anywhere. General in situation, children finds the journeys in the car are very adventurous. They enjoy the journey, they have fun in the journey, they have a lot of pleasure and funful moments during their journey hours when they travel from one place to another. But here the situation was totally different. It was not a very enjoyable journey at the moment to remain inside the car. That's also many people staying together and not a sufficient space available inside the car also. But this was different. Everyone was depressed. But this time, this particular journey was completely different. Each and every family members, the neighborhood family members also, everybody were found they were not happy. Everyone were depressed, sad, in sorrowful in state. This was the situation, children. Finally, we got through the mountain pass and left Swat behind. In this way, by traveling good distance, what does Malala finds? That they have crossed a mountain also. And she also realizes that she has left her Swat valley behind. It was late afternoon by the time we reached Marden. In this way, after having a long journey, finally, which place they happened to reach? The place called Marden. My father kept insisting, in a few days we will return. What does father try to console the children, make the children understand and the family members understand? Because they were not very much happy. Father was able to realize children were sad, family members were gloomy at this stage. So that is why father tries to make the children understand that very soon we will be once again coming back to our same valley, which the children were not able to believe it, isn't it? In a few days we will return, everything will be fine. But we knew that was not true. But the children was quite sure and certain that whatever the father was trying to tell them, which was not true. We were planning to make our way to Sangla, their father's family place, isn't it? They were all planning to reach finally to which place? Place called Shangla, our family village. It was their family village. So far we had driven in the opposite direction. Till now, the entire family members, all neighborhood family members, everybody, those who were inside the car, they were driving towards to the opposite direction. Whereas the village Shangla, it was towards the different direction, isn't it? But we had to take the only lift we could go to get out of Swat. So if they had to get out of the Swat valley and go to Sangla, then they would have to take another route, So this is who realizes this? Malala, along with all the family members, realize it very well. My father then left us to go to Peshawar and alert people to what was happening. So finally, now father had certain purpose to perform, certain duties to perform. That is why now father decides to go towards to the city of Peshawar and makes everybody alert that what it was happening at that moment. He promised to meet us later. What does the father promise with the children and the family? You don't have to worry, you don't have to feel any such type of worries in the time, that he would be meeting them later in the time. The next day we met up with my cousin Khanji, who was going to Besham, from where we would go to Sangla. In this way, the very next day, once again, she happens, Malala along with her mother and other family members happens to meet with one more family member who was her cousin, whose name was Khanji. And now after meeting with Khanji, who was also going to Besham, another place called Besam, from where we would go to Sangla. In this way, all together, Khanji along with Malala and with all the family members, now all together they decide, after reaching to the place called Besam, once again they would be planning to go to the village called Shangla. So this is the situation we reach here, children, after learning this further paragraphs of the chapter. So for today I stop my class here. The remaining part of the chapter we will be continuing it into our next class. So please perform the homeworks which are provided at the end of the class, and the click of the page has also been provided to note down the meanings to be written down in your notebooks. Thank you.